right, getting a little more details for you on the trade front here. And this is coming from our Edward Lawrence in Washington. We hope to have him up here pretty soon. But the Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin have been talking with China's Vice Premier Liu He on phase one of this U.S.-China trade agreement. And apparently they've kind of dotted the I's, crossed the T's, and they have something together. Now, whether that is enough to propel a signature on the part of both leaders, that was the hope. Remember that they were going to gather in Chile for this APEC conference. That never panned out. Chile had to cancel it because of protests there. They were looking at other sites. I understand the Catskills and Poconos were talked about. No, it wasn't. I just want to see if you're paying attention. But they hope to maybe cement this, so we'll see. Mike Murphy, if that is indeed true, not the Poconos and Catskills thing, but that they have cemented at least this part, the president already said that would be 60% of what he wanted, right?
Yes, absolutely. It's a huge plus. It takes a lot of uncertainty off the table. We all were concerned that this trade war could escalate into something further. The fact that a big portion of it is done is just a positive for both sides. It's a positive for the president, for the administration, for the American people. It's great. I hope they sign it today.
All right. I think we're going to be able to flesh this out a little bit with my buddy Ed Lawrence. Ed, what are you hearing?
Yeah, so we've seen the Global Times report saying that China is saying that they've reached a consensus on the core things that are inside the phase one deal. We can tell you that White House Economic Advisor Larry Kudlow laid out for us earlier today how close they were on a lot of those items, specifically agriculture. That he said that was basically done. Also, the financial services related part of this, basically, he said that was almost finished. So they were very close on a number of sections related inside this phase one deal. And now we have reporting out of China from the Global Times saying that they've reached a consensus on some of those major core issues inside that. It's a very big breakthrough. They are very close. And we know that the White House is looking for, at least according to White House Economic Advisor Larry Kudlow, looking for a place where President Trump and President Xi can sign a phase one deal. But they're very close to getting there.
All right.
Neil?
So already we're seeing oil prices move up pretty smartly, up 3% on just the hint of a consensus on these core principles. But, Edward, to be clear, the president seemed to be very optimistic that we're going to be able to meet somewhere and somewhere soon to sign off on a deal that many people assumed was all but done. This confirms that it's much closer to being done, or how would you describe it?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think that we're hearing that it is much, much closer to being done. Although you ask the U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer, he'll say that no deal is a finished deal until it's signed. But again, they are very close to finishing this phase one trade deal from everything that we're hearing. And then this report just sort of confirms the fact that maybe they've crossed over a threshold somewhere in some of the more stickier issues. They were having some issues with the IP theft section of this, according to the White House Economic Advisor this morning. So maybe there's a breakthrough on that section. But it looks like some of the other ones really were very, very close. So this could be the breakthrough on it. We'll just have to wait and see as more of this comes out. We also have phone calls into China, as well as my trade sources here in the United States.
All right. Thank you very much, my friend. Jillian, we were just talking about dealing with the Chinese, and we have to obviously trust, verify the whole Reagan thing. Mm-hmm. But in this case, the Chinese themselves had signaled that it's going to be difficult to go much beyond the phase one part. Mm-hmm. They zinged the president a little bit. They zinged the whole process is more involved than you think. What if it just ends with phase one? That's it. Be significant, obviously, but what do you think?
Well, I think both sides are under pressure right now to make a deal. So Trump's looking to middle America right now as we're going into the election season. These are farmers that have gone out on a limb for him and have really taken a hit. I'm thinking about the soybean guys. I'm thinking about the corn growers. These are people that have put up with some pain. So some of these agricultural provisions are going to help. I think China, this is a government that derives most of its legitimacy from economic prosperity. We're seeing slowing growth there. We're seeing, conflict in Hong Kong, so pressure on that government. So I think they have every incentive to do something. But my concern is, I'm less concerned about the trade deficit. I'm concerned about China's bad behavior, its theft of intellectual property, the way that it pushes around and bullies U.S. companies, as we saw with the NBA scandal. And I think many of these trade things that we're hearing in phase one don't get at the root cause of that bad behavior. And those are going to be the really sticky, difficult things to address. So I'm concerned about whether if we can get to a phase two. And throughout this, I'm also concerned that we can't trust China.
All right. Again, we're scanning on a lot of the details here. They're just closer to something, which is better than, nothing. But again, it's way early in the process. Just the fact that they have made progress. We don't even know specifically where that progress has been made. What we